The draft has officially happened. It is officially over. We've seen drama, we've seen good picks, we've seen horrible picks. In my opinion, who did the best, who did the worst, who did mid, who did the worst decision in the draft. And let's get straight to it. So first off, I want to start off with my team, the 49ers, right? I'm not entirely mad at it. Looking at our draft, I can't be too displeased at it. We definitely need some defense. We lost a good bit of defensive players. Javarius Ward, Funga, and Dre Greenlaw, who was a dynamic duo with our guy Fred Warner. So I'm very happy that this draft was a majority defense. We definitely needed it. But I think the one thing that we definitely need that we didn't focus on like at all was offensive line. We're getting to the point where Trent Williams is probably about to retire. Aaron Banks we just traded to the Packers, I believe. I think it was an alright. If I were to give a grade on it, I'd say a C+, B-. I mean, I don't agree with drafting a quarterback and drafting 2 receivers. I'd be okay with just the Ole Miss receiver. I mean, he seems pretty good. But drafting Curtis Rourke from Indiana, I don't really see as a positive because we just got Mac Jones to serve as a backup, so I don't really see bringing in another rookie if we're trying to get another Brock Purdy out of it somehow. But I think the lack of attention on offensive linemen really kind of brought this draft class grade down, so probably a B-, C+ in my opinion. Alright, let's take a look at Arizona, who ended up with 7 picks in total, and their first round pick being Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, a defensive tackle. I'm not mad at it. If I'm a Cardinals fan, I'm definitely not mad at adding to that defense. The defense was not the best last year. I think they got a majority of their needs. I think the only thing that they really need is someone to kind of go along with Marvin Harrison Jr. Having just one main receiver can only get you so far. You need some people here and there like that can cover the check downs, cover little slants and all that. You can't just focus on one person. And I think that's why Trey McBride has been so good for Cardinals. Glad they didn't draft like another quarterback. I think Kyler Murray is good. He just needs like to settle down, put down the Call of Duty, and lock in. I think he's fine. I think he's a decent quarterback, and I think he can take the Cardinals to the playoffs, like how he did 3 years ago when J.J. Watt was on the team. The Cardinals, I give them a B. They needed the defense. They needed the help on the defensive side, so them going heavy on defense and also kind of helping out Kyler just a little bit, that's pretty good on them. Let's take a look at Atlanta. So 5 picks in total. They traded for a second first rounder too, and with their first 2 round picks, they got defensive players. I'm very surprised. I was full on expecting them to just go and pick a quarterback, go pick up Jackson Dart, Milroe, etc. They didn't. They knew what they needed and they went and got it. They got a linebacker from Georgia, Jalen Walker, who seems like a dog, no pun intended. And then, of course, they got James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee, an edge rusher, who's also a pretty good pick, along with 2 safeties and an offensive tackle. Not a bad draft by the Falcons. They knew that they needed to step up on the defense. You know, they lost a couple guys, but they've also gained a couple guys, and they just got Kobe Bryant from the undrafted free agency, which is mind-blowing that he was a free agent in the first place. I mean, I feel like this dude should have gone before the 20-something corners that went before him. I feel like he should have been the 10th corner, maybe under that. I would give Atlanta an A-. I think they did tremendous with only 5 picks, too. They did pretty good with only drafting 5 people. And let's take a look at Baltimore. Baltimore stacked on that defense, and it's not fair. It's not fair. They get Malachi Starks from Georgia, the safety. So him, Kyle Hamilton, now Mike Green, who I'm so shocked was the 27th pick in the second round. It took him till day 2 that late to get drafted. Now I get it. He comes from Marshall. Marshall's not competitive. It doesn't have a competitive conference. But Mike Green is a dog. Not a bad draft by the Ravens. I mean, they kind of already like stacked on without the draft. They're kind of already stacked. I think this draft class is a B+. They didn't really need anything. They just kind of stacked on top of their stacked roster. So B+. Let's take a Buffalo Bills. there's a clip out there of the general manager going on a podcast talking about how Bills Mafia fans are a little upset that they didn't draft that many receivers. I mean, when you're scoring 30 points on an average every game, you don't really need a receiver, clearly. And it may just be a one-man show with Josh Allen, but there ain't no way he's throwing it up and then catching it himself. He's throwing it to somebody. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Keon Coleman. I don't get why people are acting like they don't have weapons. They do have weapons. They even have a good runner, James Cook. And what they went ahead and did is they stacked on that defense, because the defense, it was 50-50 sometimes, but it was mostly good. So yeah, with the Buffalo Bills, I give them a B, just a B. Carolina, just an A. They get an A. They did perfect on the draft. They did tremendously. They did tremendous. Dude from Arizona, McMillan. That's a solid pick. There was a couple people being like, well, why did they draft him so early? He could have been in the second round, or they could have traded up for a second, or like a late first round and still got him. I think you go ahead and take the help that's needed. Edge rusher, running back, safety, D-tackle, tight end, and wide receiver. Solid. They got weapons for Bryce Young to work with. My only thing is, they didn't draft the offensive lineman at all. And I thought that was the number one worry about the Carolina Panthers. I think they did pretty good in this draft, but nothing too spectacular. I think the addition of Trevor Etienne is a really good addition. Him and Chuba probably going to ground and pound that thing against the whole NFC South. The addition of the edge rusher from Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Florida, them with Derrick Brown, great addition. There's going to be pressure all the time in the NFC South now. Great pressure. And they even signed Hunter Renfrow from the free agency. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. Chicago, I didn't really pay attention that much to Chicago. I was very surprised about them drafting a tight end first round, especially when they have Cole Kmet. And a lot of people want to say Cole Kmet is mid and he's not that good. Watch the tape. Cole Kmet is a freaking dog. He was a big part of the offense last year, along with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. He helped Caleb Williams a good bit. Who's going to pass up on Luther Burden? I mean, Luther Burden going to the second round in general was shocking to me. I thought he was going to be a late first round, but I thought he was going to be a first round. Goes to the second round, but Chicago picks him up, so that'll be in addition to the Bears' offensive weapons. Give Caleb Williams some more weapons, you know? And that's overall not a bad one. I'm just very, very surprised that they used their first round pick on the tight end when that's not really necessarily their number one priority. I think their main priority is probably an edge rusher or a main linebacker to kind of tag along with TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. Anyway, with Chicago's draft class, I want to give it a C+. You know what I'm saying? It just threw me off with the tight end pick, and they kind of did make up. They kind of made up for it, but not really. They still missed out on an edge rusher. There was a good bit. They could have stole Mike Green, but C-. I'm very surprised the Bengals draft class did not look like anything like the Falcons. A majority defense. I thought they would have gone all out on that defense, along with some offensive line, and they kind of did. They went a good bit of defense, but it was kind of 50-50. They drafted 2 guards and a running back too. They kind of needed a running back. You know, last year I can't think of the running back's name, but without Joe Mixon, it wasn't as an electric offense. It was more of just a Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase show. But I full on expected them, like every pick, defense. So them kind of going out and getting some offensive line, that's pretty good too. It is what it is. The Bengals got what they got. And I think I'm going to give it a C. The Browns draft class. I've been wanting to talk about this. Their first round pick, trading from the 2nd spot to the 5th spot. Now, I don't think it was a bad decision seeing what they got. They got next year's first round pick. So now they have 2 first rounders next year. And they also got Mason Graham. That's not a bad pickup. They knew signing Myles Garrett back that he was going to want someone to kind of help him out instead of it just being a one-man show on that D-line. and they get Mason Graham from Michigan. That's not a bad pick. It's not a bad pick. Then they go get the linebacker from UCLA, running back Junkins. Oh my gosh. What a pick. What a pick. And I'm very surprised. Like, Junkins didn't go before. I'm very surprised. Because looking at how Ashton Genty went in the top 10, very surprised. The Bowling Green tight end, I was waiting for this dude to get picked. I was waiting. You can ask me or my guy Jeremiah. We knew this dude's a dog, and we were so surprised that he didn't go faster. They draft Dylan Gabriel, quarterback from Oregon, in the 3rd round. Okay, stick with me. Then they go and draft Dylan Sampson from Tennessee in the 4th round. Okay, kind of back up Junkins, you know. The 5th round, with their last pick, they draft Shedeur Sanders. Are we serious right now? It was so good. It was so good until Dylan Gabriel picked. Because as soon as Dylan Gabriel got picked, people were like, what's going to happen with Shedeur? That was kind of Shedeur's last hope. And then fast travel to the 5th round, Shedeur Sanders gets picked by the Browns. So now you have a QB room with Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders.
What?
Why would you do that to your franchise? Why would you do that?
Listen here.
The only pro that I see coming out of this whole situation is they have a dartboard. The Browns organization has a dartboard. And they have four whatchamacallits, right? One is Flacco, one is Dylan Gabriel, one is Kenny Pickett, and one is Shedeur. I think they walked up to the board, went ahead and stuck Flacco on there, then they stuck Kenny on there, right? So now they have two darts. They have Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And so now what I'm thinking is they're blindfolding themselves and they're throwing them. And whichever one sticks is who's going to stay. And who's going to eventually take over the Browns organization. Because Joe Flacco ain't going to stay. Kenny Pickett is just there to back up. There ain't no way they're going to start Kenny Pickett. They're definitely starting Joe Flacco. And I'll even say this. I think Shedeur is going to lose to Dylan Gabriel. In the QB battle, I think Shedeur is going to lose. I mean, when you watch the draft, when I was watching the draft, and the moment I saw Shedeur Sanders get picked, when they showed the footage of the Browns organization reacting to the pick, they looked like they were forced to pick this dude. It looked like the NFL was like, hey, we got like 15 posts that are ready to go up on Instagram. We need somebody to pick him up. Can y'all please just pick him up? And the Browns were like, fine. And they're in the back like if you're getting a quarterback that could potentially save your franchise, I would do a backflip. And you know why they acted like that? Because why would they want Shedeur when they have 3 quarterbacks already? One that they just drafted. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm not a man of an organization. Alright, clearly not. Overall, the first half, great draft. I mean, Mason Graham, the UCLA linebacker, Junkins, and Bowling Green's tight end. Those are great picks. But then you go and draft 2 quarterbacks. What are you thinking? If I'm a Browns fan,
I would be pissed.
You didn't get a single receiver? Not one offensive tackle? Not an offensive lineman in general? You went 3-14 last year. 3-14. Why do you think that is? Because you had nothing. The only redeeming quality out of the Browns last season was Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy. And we know how Steve Smith feels about Steve Smith Sr. We know exactly how Steve Smith feels about Jerry Jeudy. And it still stands. Steve Smith is never wrong. I'm giving this like a C-, almost a D. Alright, next we're going to be looking at the Cowgirls. Here we go. I mean, they needed somebody to replace Zach Martin. You know what I'm saying? Zach Martin was a key piece of that O-line, and he's probably going to go down as one of the best offensive linemen in the league ever. I would give this draft class maybe a C+. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. But I just don't see how y'all didn't get a single receiver. I don't understand it. I would have thought y'all want to give CeeDee Lamb somebody to work with. I think what they really needed drafted was a wide receiver, a running back, because Zeke ain't that good no more, and some defensive players. And they did so. I wasn't even worried about the O-line. The O-line, I thought was going to be pretty good even without Zach Martin. Or at least decent without Zach Martin. But they went ahead and made sure, like, we got a good O-line for Dak, right? But not a weapon for him to throw to? Just 2 running backs? Let's take a look at Denver. Denver didn't do too bad. I mean, they had a pretty good season last season, and they struck gold with Bo Nix last year. Finding out that he's a dog and he's a player. I mean, he's a stud, and he's gonna probably lead this team on to the playoffs for the next couple of years. Hopefully not to just get blown out by the Bills like how he did last season. Drafting a corner, not a bad pick. Drafting a running back, needed it. Drafting a wide receiver, absolutely, you need it. Get somebody else besides Cortland Sutton, and I think that was a really good pick. Edge rusher, not bad. Punter, yeah, you need some special teams work, and then getting another tight end, not a bad pick. I give this like a B-. I think this is a pretty good draft class, just not too much to where it's like the best, you know what I'm saying? So I'll give it a B-. Detroit. Drafting a D tackle, add to that D line. I mean, that is beautiful. I like that pick. Get him with Aiden Hutchinson, abso-freaking-lutely. I mean, that D line is going to be scary as heck. It's going to be scary. Then they go and get an offensive guard, add to that O line. They get a receiver, not bad. Offensive guard, edge, safety, wide receiver. Dan Jackson from Georgia, working with Kirby Joseph. Not a bad pick. I give it a B-. Scratch that. I give it a B. Because I bet this defense is going to be so elite, especially when it's healthy, because they had a lot of injuries last year. This defense, added on to the Lions' current defense, healthy, probably going to be the best in the league. By far. They're probably going to be the best in the league. Green Bay. They actually didn't have a bad draft at all, and they pretty much nailed all the needed positions. I give this a solid B. This is a good draft, and it's kind of the same with the Ravens and Lions. They already have a pretty good team, so just adding to it, you can't really tell if it's good or bad. Houston, I think they did the same thing as Green Bay. They got all the needs out of the way, but it's not bad, I guess. So I give it a C+. Indianapolis Colts, taking Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. Not a bad pickup. It just wasn't my ideal pick. I'm very surprised that they didn't go with a receiver to kind of tag along with Michael Pittman. Overall, I mean, I feel like the only thing they kind of missed out on was interior offensive linemen. They did get a tackle, but that's their only offensive line pickup. So I was expecting more of an offensive line hookup, kind of add on with Quentin Nelson, but you can't get every position. So overall, I give this a C+, B-. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I don't blame them for trading up to the second pick, but I don't know. I mean, trading away next year's future too, I don't know, kind of throws it off just a tad bit. And then getting another corner, Caleb Runso from Tulane, not a bad pickup. Offensive guard, running back, linebacker, safety, center, running back. So getting 2 running backs, I'm very intrigued as to why when they have Travis Etienne. I feel like they missed more out on tight end, wide receiver. I mean, some weapons for Trevor Lawrence to work with. This draft by the Jacksonville Jaguars is mid. I give it a C. And we got the Kansas City trash cans. Nobody cares. And we going with the Jim Harbaugh Chargers. Now, I think he kind of cooked with this. I'm not gonna lie. I think the only thing that they missed out on was an offensive guard. That O-line was pretty atrocious last season. Getting an offensive tackle, beautiful, but waiting till the 6th round to get him doesn't really quite make sense. Getting a running back, great. You know, they didn't really have a named running back. I mean, when you ask people what's the Chargers running back, they're probably going to say Austin Eckler. That dude was on the Commanders all last season. I had to look up who it was. Yeah, I mean, they kind of nailed everything. And, I mean, last season going 11-6, they're not a bad team. But just seeing Justin Herbert's playoff performance, 4 interceptions in a single game, I can't blame him entirely. I mean, when you're throwing to nobodies who half the time drop the ball, you're not really surprised that you're a playoff team that gets booted in the first round just about every year. Taking a look at the Rams here, they got a tight end with their first pick, which was in the 2nd round. Edge, running back, D tackle, linebacker, wide receiver, not bad. I can definitely see why they got a tight end. Kind of work with Tyler Higbee a little bit. I mean, the Rams are kind of, when I look at the Rams, I kind of see like the same about what I said about the Packers and the Ravens. They're kind of already a well-built around team, but I think they should have drafted a really good wide receiver to kind of replace Cooper Kupp. I mean, Cooper Kupp was a big piece of that offense in the past couple years. But just trading him away and then not getting a receiver to really replace him until the 7th round, I don't really understand that. But I mean, what are you gonna do? So I get their draft like maybe a C. Getting Ashton Genty with the first pick, they needed a running back, but I feel like this was kind of a reach. There's nothing against Genty. He's a heck of a ball player. He carried Boise State. Carried them. That quarterback could not throw, and if he couldn't throw and Genty couldn't run, just like what happened against Penn State, you're going to lose. But Genty, I feel like, is a really good pick for him, especially for a team that didn't have a running back because they got rid of Josh Jacobs to the Packers. So they didn't really have a guy to back up and, you know, kind of rely on, you know. Getting a wide receiver, corner, offensive tackle, wide receiver, D tackle, wide receiver, quarterback, linebacker. Overall, they knew what they needed, and I think they hit all the needs really, from just watching the film. I know it says that they missed out on the safety and offensive guard on here, but I think they hit pretty much everything that they would entirely need. Even getting a quarterback just in case from North Dakota State, not mad at it. I think you really needed to build all around, and they kind of went all around, and they went ahead and got their main position out of the way first. So, not bad. I feel like this is a B plus, really, by the Raiders. I think it was a really good draft. Miami Dolphins. Now, I do think this was an underrated draft by the Miami Dolphins. Getting Kenneth Grant, obviously a good pickup for that defense. Getting an offensive guard for Tua. Jordan Phillips from Maryland, very good pickup. I mean, they went hard on that D-line for the first 3 picks. They went hard. They went hard on the lineman position. Getting the corner from Florida, I think it was a good pick. Safety from Maryland, good pick. Getting Quentin Ewers from Texas, I'm not mad at it. I really think that's a pretty good pick, because he was bound to get drafted or get picked up in the undrafted free agency. He wasn't about to be like DJ Ukulele, and just go undrafted and still hasn't been picked up as I'm recording this. I think Quentin Ewers was going to get drafted eventually, and I'm glad he got drafted to a team that might actually utilize him, because Tua is very injury prone. When Tua is healthy, he's pretty good, but when he's kind of wavy, concussed, and he's not really all there, he's pretty bad, and he's close to injury. So it's not a bad idea to go draft a quarterback that could somewhat sit in replace Tua, just to keep him breathing above the water. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that's a bad pick, and especially getting Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. So now you got him and Devon Achane. I think they still have Mostert, but that's a solid running back room, really. Devon Achane is not a bad running back at all. Raheem Mostert still kind of has it, and Ollie Gordon is a dog, so I'm not very surprised that they picked him up. I'm very surprised that it was until the 6th round that Ollie was picked up. There was a lot of running backs that went out late, and I'm very surprised by it. But good on the Dolphins, building around, getting a D tackle too from Georgia Tech. So they really went hard on that D line and the DB part of the stuff. They got offensive linemen. So I think they did pretty good on this. I think this is a B. Minnesota! Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, offensive guard. Not a bad pickup. I think this is a pretty good pickup. The offensive line, I didn't really see it as much as a problem. Last year it wasn't that bad. But I think the main thing that they missed out on was DBs. Harrison Smith can only get y'all so far. And you don't really have a good name corner. So I'm very surprised that they didn't really get a DB at all. Well, now that I'm looking at it, it was kind of a mid-draft. I get this a C. I don't know what the Vikings were doing, I'm going to be honest. We are on the Patriots. I don't think they won the draft, but I do think they came second or third. They went around, and their first pick was a really good pick. Will Campbell? Yes. Very good pick. Will Campbell is a freaking dog. Trayvon Henderson, Ohio State running back. Not bad. They do need a running back. Ramondre Stevenson is he showed flashes of being a good running back, but it just kind of fell off, and you can't really blame it entirely on him. You didn't really have an O lineman to kind of like make holes for you to run through. Yeah, so they were kind of just they were kind of getting here, there, here. Special teams even, they were getting special teams players pretty freaking good. They made sure to get some defensive players, and they made sure to get some DBs and some D linemen for sure. I think they hit all the marks, and I really give this draft an A. I give the Patriots an A draft. I think it was really good. New Orleans. Let's talk about it. First pick being an offensive tackle, not bad. Everybody was expecting Shedeur Sanders for the New Orleans Saints. Picking an offensive lineman is not entirely a bad idea, but your second round pick being Tyler from Louisville, I don't see why. Why would you draft Tyler Shaw?
But why? Why would you do that?
Overall, not a bad draft. They did kind of focus on the defense a lot, and they kind of needed to. I'm surprised they didn't get any receivers at all. Chris Olave is going to have a concussion like next year, probably. I mean, these hits that he's taken, that Derek Carr's leading him on, and Spencer Rattler. Here's the team that I believe won the draft. New York Giants. My top 3 for who won the draft. Number 1, Giants. Number 2, Patriots. Number 3, Falcons. I think the Giants won this draft. First pick being Abdul Carter. Tremendous pick. Very good pick at B-Dubs with my 2 friends. As the draft was happening, the Giants traded and were like, okay, this is Shedeur Sanders. This has got to be. When they announced it was Jackson Dart, that Buffalo Wild Wings exploded. I mean, it exploded. Everybody was yelling because nobody thought Jackson Dart would go over Shedeur Sanders. If I'm being completely honest about the Jackson Dart pick,
I think it was the best idea the Giants ever made.
Sitting in behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, who've been around the game for over a decade, I really do like how they got Jackson Dart. This was the steal of the draft. This was a really good pick, and I don't get why people hate on Cam Scatterboot. This dude is the second coming of Peyton Hillis. They didn't have a running back. Now they got him. So now Malik Neighbors doesn't have to be a one-man show. And now he has Jackson Dart, Russell Wilson, or Jameis Winston throwing him the ball. I love this draft class. I think they won.
A++++.
Let's get to the Jets. The Jets, overall good pick, a good draft. I knew they weren't going to get a quarterback because they just signed Justin Fields. Justin Fields is not a bad quarterback, might I add. He's not a bad quarterback at all. And I give this an A-. I think the only thing that they missed was interior D lineman. Quentin Williams is all alone in there. He doesn't really have anybody to work with. You get him another guy to work with, I think it's a pretty good draft class, and I think it's up there in my top 3. Let's take it to Philly. Now, this is another Packers, Ravens type thing. They're already a freaking unit, right? But getting Jaleel Campbell, Andrew Makupa, Ty Robbins, just stacking on that defense. Oh my gosh, this defense is going to be scary. When I said the Lions defense is probably going to be the best, Eagles are tied for first with them. Anyway, Philly, I give them a B+. They dominated that defense. Steelers. You needed a quarterback.
You waited till the 6th round to get Will Howard?
I think this is a C+ draft. Let's take a look at Seattle. Seattle here had a pretty good draft. Not going to lie, they had a really, really good draft. Jalen Milroe is a very good pick.
in my opinion, he may not be the best quarterback in the draft. You can't deny the athleticism on this dude. There are some ups and downs to Jalen Milroe, and I think him sitting behind Sam Darnold is not a bad option. I really do think he's going to be good eventually in the future. Just give him a couple years to learn the game. He has a heck of a deep ball, and he can run that ball. If all things go to worse with Sam Darnold, he gets injured, God forbid, and Drew Lock can't get the job done, let him and K9 run all over that defense. Let him run. I think Seattle gets an A-. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is not a bad pick. It's not a bad draft class. They went ahead and got Ibuka. Pretty good. I mean, Mike Evans is getting to the retirement age. And Chris Godwin's going to need somebody to kind of tag along with him. Get Emeka Okabuka. But overall, pretty good draft class by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I get this a B. Tennessee Titans. They got the quarterback of their dreams with the first pick in the draft with Cam Ward. Kind of surprised they didn't hit more on the offensive line, but I'm glad they kind of went more on the defensive side. Edge, safety, corner. They do need some defensive assets, but it looks like they're going to heavily rely on their offense to kind of outscore the opponent. And I think Cam Ward will handle starting in Tennessee better than Will Levis. I give this draft class a B+. And the last team to talk about is the Washington Commanders. They get Josh Connerly from Oregon, Trey Amos from Ole Miss, Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech, Kane Madrano, UCLA, Ja'Cory Merritt from Arizona. Offensive tackle, corner, wide receiver, linebacker, running back. Not bad. I mean, they're already a good all-around team. They're just kind of buffing out that offensive line, getting another running back because, Brian Robinson can only get you so far, and you're not going to want Austin Eckler to forever be your second string. So go ahead and get your dude from Arizona, linebacker, corner, not bad, and go ahead and give Terry McLaurin and Dotson another receiver. Washington Commanders got a C+ draft. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's different, and I know I was gone for a little bit. If you were to walk around my room, you probably think I'm a football fan because I love the sport. It's a big part, and I just never really introduced it to my channel besides Madden montages and that one college football gameplay because I don't really think my audience likes it as much. They're more the Five Nights at Freddy's, indie game, horror game series. I'm always nervous to kind of try new things because as soon as I see a video fall off, then it kind of discourages me from uploading anymore, and I feel like going away from that. It sucks not uploading what you want to, but if it's there to grow your channel, I'm willing to do it, I guess. I think I've said it in the past couple FNAF fan game videos. I could care less for the game, I'm gonna be honest. I play it for the views. I play it because my audience prefers those types of games. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like the video, let me know what y'all want to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.